Do not expect death to be a liar. Death does not lie. Death is an accounting of things. He has no use for lies. He has no gain in the vacuum of truth. Death, there are many causes that cause one to die, but those are not death's fault. Some of them seem very natural. Others are caused by other human beings. Some kill themselves. Some die in accidents. Disease certainly plays a role as well. But none of these things are death. Death waits for our time to be out, counts the grains of sand that are moments until there are no more moments in our lives. We've demonized death. We imagine it to be a foe made of skull and bones, of evil intent, trying to drag us into something beyond life. And we love life so much, just like the Greeks. We are so attached to life. And in other religions, we are given the idea that death is caused by evil forces and not by natural forces, not by the source of all things, not by even nature, but by evil forces. But all of these ideas are incorrect, or at least not quite the truth. Now, many hundreds of years ago, there was this man in Samaria. Now, I'm taking liberties as far as a few details of the story, but there was a man in Samaria, and he was going about his day, and he was thinking on death, and he felt that one day soon he would die. It felt like it was just around the corner all the time at this point in his life. And one day, he actually witnessed or saw this person in the marketplace that he traveled to quite often to buy what he needed for life, that was the spitting image of death. And, it is said that once you see death, there's no mistaking it for some other entity. Now, he saw death in the marketplace. You might want to think of how death looked to you. And when he saw death, he was surprised, even though he had been worrying about this very thing. But when death looked at him, death was also surprised. And this confused him, but it didn't stop him from fleeing that city, running as far as he could. He ran several cities away. Perhaps he ran to Gomorrah. Perhaps he ran further south. But when he got to the nameless city he found himself in, he took up residence in a tavern. And he's like, surely I've gone far from death. Surely I am far enough that death could not catch up, for I ran and ran. And I was sure not to take a direct route, so surely death could not follow me. Now, as he was going to a marketplace in that town, in that city, he saw death again. And death approached him, made his body cold so he could not run, and came up to him, looked him in the eye. And the only question that came to the man's mind was, I know you are death, but I have one question. Why did you act surprised? Or why were you surprised when you saw me in the marketplace in Samaria? And death responded, because I had an appointment today with you in the city we find ourselves in. This may seem rather devoid of lesson. And it's not just the lesson that no matter where we are, death finds us, or that death always knows where we are, that the eye of the thing that makes this universe balanced is always upon us. This is a lesson that, as human beings, we don't just run from death. But we operate under the false assumption that we can run from something that is intrinsic to us, intrinsic to life, intrinsic to who we are. Death exists for a reason. And whether it be love, virtue, fears and desires, we have to resolve those. Or whether it be our very soul. As human beings, we think that running from these things puts them further away from us. But we often find, in the end, that we're running into the arms of the very same problem we're running from. I often compare Odin to this kind of death figure. I actually had a dream several times that in the dream I was always running, and it was from this figure that reminded me of Odin. And no matter where I ran right into the arms of Odin. As human beings, we have to understand that we need to resolve our problems, surmount obstacles. And when somebody tells us a truth that seems sweet, that seems wonderful, that makes us feel better about the things that we do that we feel are wrong, or feel that we're putting something off, you must question that truth, because truth is very rarely sweet. It is Preya and not Shreya. In Hinduism, Preya is that part of ourselves that says, hey, this candy tastes good. If it tastes good, why not eat some more? This, blowing ourselves up, blowing our ego up, feels good. Why don't we just keep doing that? You're obviously getting something out of it. Why don't you do it some more? Shreya is the one that leads in the opposite direction. Shreya is telling us, you'll have health conditions if you eat a bunch of candy. Or that people will not see you as you truly are if you constantly put on this facade and blow up your ego. Or people will not truly like you, even if they say they do to your face, if you put on this false facade. Shreya is sensibility. It's eating your vegetables, even if they taste bad, because you know it's healthier for you. Preya is indulging yourself in the things that feel good in the moment. When reflecting upon death, and the fact that we all are going to meet death eventually, we're human, we're mortal, we should take into account Preya and Shreya. And it's not just about living longer by not eating candy or not partaking in various, you could say, sins or negative karmic actions. It's about realizing that this mortality, this life that we have, is a wondrous gift. How are we going to use it? To become a better version of ourselves? Or to seek sense gratification that lasts moments in this life, let alone in the vaster epoch of our spiritual evolution as an individual? How are we going to use the life that we have before we meet death in the marketplace? Death is not corruption. Death is a teacher, and the messenger that warns us of where we're going to go. We always know deep down where we're dragging ourselves to. And death is a gateway, he's a gatekeeper. So, really, he's an ally. Always warning us, always giving us those little pains, showing that our body is failing in this or that way, perhaps for this or that reason. Or sometimes just remind us that we're getting old, or something in us is failing. Death and pain are very much connected, though pain doesn't always work with death. Death itself is an ally towards the battle for our very souls and our spiritual evolution. If we embrace death as an ally, try to understand it instead of running away from it, then that appointment in the marketplace, we'll be ready for it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope all of you find yourselves and have a great day.